This week on the Computer Chronicles, the next generation of computer games. We'll play with Sega's brand new Dreamcast game console. It may be more powerful than your desktop PC. And a sneak preview of the PlayStation 2 due out next year. Every year there's one really hot game that all gamers talk about. And this year it's Baldur's Gate. We'll show you why all the buzz. Plus a sneak preview of the new Nintendo 64 version of Rainbow Six. And a totally new way to interface with a game using your head. We'll show you the new Reality Fusion Game Cam. Also my pick of the week, the absolute coolest new handheld gaming device. It's the Neo Geo Pocket Color from SNK. It's all coming up next on the Computer Chronicles.
The Computer Chronicles is brought to you by BigStar.com, with thousands of videos and DVDs for the whole family. Additional support by TechWeb for up-to-the-minute technology news. And by TVA, Television Associates, bridging the worlds of computers and video with DVD authoring and MPEG encoding services.
Hi, and welcome to the Computer Chronicles. I'm Stewart Cheifet. How much computing power do you really need to run a spreadsheet or a word processor or a database, even one from Microsoft? Not that much, frankly. But what if you had a piece of software that required real-time graphics, video, stereo sound, multi-level views, and the most complex simulation algorithms? It would be called a computer game or a video game, and it would demand every bit of hardware juice that you can come up with. Computer games are not only fun, but they perhaps more than any other application push the edge of computing power. The irony is that some of the most powerful game platforms are not personal computers, but dedicated game consoles. And the hottest one on the market right now is the brand new Dreamcast from Sega. Here to show it to us is Christian Svensson, editor-in-chief of MCV, the leading trade publication for game retailers. Let's talk about the box first of all and get a kind of guided tour, because it looks a little bit different than any of the other consoles. First of all, it's nice and small and tiny, right?
It is much smaller than most of the consoles that are out there. Much like the PlayStation, it's actually CD-based.
Yeah, so you can just pop it open.
Just pop it open. Unlike the PlayStation, it actually has a much faster drive. It's a 12x CD-ROM drive.
All right, so we got a bunch of ports. These are for controllers?
Mm-hmm, 4 controllers. Actually, also keyboards and mice plug in as well.
Okay. And let's take a look at the back. This is kind of interesting modem line, right?
There's a 56K modem included with every Dreamcast.
And so this is a web terminal also?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a web browser, a little form of
optional
Explorer.
Keyboard too, right?
Optional keyboard.
And usual power and
communications
video
port
and all that stuff.
And video out.
All right, now let's take a look at the controller, because that's kind of interesting there. Go through that one.
So what we've got here on the controller is a fairly standard analog pad, just sort of swivels around, a D-pad, fairly standard action buttons, and then on the backhand side, we've got triggers and 2 ports for memory cards and other
now let's ask you about this. Turn this over again. What is this little LCD screen and this guy in there?
This is the visual memory unit. It's both a
I got one over here, actually. Let's give them a close-up of that so our folks can see what this is. It's just looks like a miniature Game Boy or something.
It sort of is. It's both a little mini game system and a memory card all in one.
So you can store your games on it and then pull it out and actually play something on this?
There are little takeaway games that come with a lot of the games that come for the main
and then they
unit.
slide right into the controller.
They slide right in.
Now, when I take this cap off, I see a little port here. Now, what do I do with this?
Well, you can either slide it into a controller, or you can pull out the existing controller.
And these things will mate?
They'll mate, and you can share data, play against a friend.
Oh, cool, and just go head-to-head.
Right.
All right, let's get to play the game. There's 2 things I want you to show us that really demonstrate this very nicely. And you've got up here a game called Trick Style, which really shows the graphics that really blow you away with the Dreamcast. Huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that the wrong one we stuck in there? Proves it works, right?
Yeah, it definitely does. There we go.
So just play.
This is just it's a racing game from Acclaim called Trick Style, as you said. And as you can see, the graphics here are a little better than what you're typically used to.
So you're sort of a skateboarder trying to do a race? Huh?
Yeah, trying to do a race, and got to get through these futuristic courses. And there's a lot of things you can do, and oops, you don't do it that way.
Yeah, now compare the quality of these graphics, the speed, the smoothness of the motion to the predecessor.
Well, compared to the PlayStation, the smoothness of the graphics is just much better. The hardware is just much more capable.
Yeah, it's really nice.
There's a lot of hardware effects. We won't get into the technical jargon, but the end result is lighting is better, textures are better. Yeah. You know, the games are faster.
All right, real quick, to really show this off, the best thing I've seen is NFL 2K. Let me ask you to swap discs here. so we can show the folks what that looks like, because the motion on there is dynamite. While you're doing that, why don't we talk about some of the specs in the box, the CPU, the memory, etc.
The CPU is a Hitachi SH4 RISC processor running at 200 megahertz.
All right.
The machine has 26 megs of RAM, divided amongst its main RAM, video RAM, and audio RAM.
Okay.
The audio hardware comes from Yamaha. It's a 64-channel sound chip. It's their latest chip. And the
OS?
Microsoft Windows CE.
All right, pretty powerful box, and it's really well demonstrated by NFL 2K. The graphics are dynamite, so just play some football for us.
Sure.
And tell us what you're doing.
Let's see. First, got to call our defensive plays.
Okay.
Defense.
1st and 5.
Now, even the guys jogging to the line, I mean, looks so cool.
Here's the snap. Shot stumbling. Big hit after picking up a couple. Tackled by Russell.
Look at the muscles on the guy's arms as he walks.
Yep,
huh?
and the lighting, showing off that. What's sort of nice is you can see the replay. You know, I can come in here from any angle.
You can change your angle. Look at
I can call the play.
And this is so much better than anything I've seen before in football.
Now I can pull it back, send it forward. And call it from any angle.
NFL 2K. And there's an NBA game coming out, lots of other things.
NBA 2K is coming, NHL 2K is coming.
Christian, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Great. All right, well, every year has its hot new computer game, the must-have title for your PC. And this year's runaway hit is Baldur's Gate from Interplay. It's a Dungeons & Dragons type game that has gotten just about everybody's vote for best role-playing game of the year. And luckily, we've got Chris Parker here from Interplay to show it to us. Just give us the basic story of Baldur's Gate first before we look at it.
Baldur's Gate is a role-playing game. It's set in the advanced Dungeons & Dragons world of the Forgotten Realms.
Okay.
And so what we did is we took a big chunk of that world and then created a story within it. It was a fairly unused portion of the world. And you start out as an orphan by yourself near the city of Baldur's Gate. And as you progress through the story, you meet all these other individuals that can actually join your party. And eventually, you can have this party of different individual personalities, as many as 6 of them.
Why is the game so hot? Why is this so much better than what's come before? People compare it to Diablo, for example. What makes this a better engine?
Well, Diablo's a great game, but Diablo's very much it's a hack and slash game. There wasn't a lot of story behind it. You had your character and you went through these 15 levels of dungeon killing stuff.
Okay.
In Baldur's Gate, you get to do that same sort of thing. You're always getting this character advancement, but you also have this background story where you're trying to find out what's going on with the world. At the same time, you have other members in your party, so you have a lot of interaction with the world.
All right, let's get to the game and show us a little bit of playing Baldur's Gate.
Sure.
So where are we?
Right now, I'm in a town called Olgoth Beard. And so as you can see, this is a relatively peaceful little shore town, so I'm just going to run around real quick. And as you can see, all the graphics, we're able to put a lot of detail in. We use fully pre-rendered background graphics and then render them in at least 16 bits per screen. And then, as you can see here, characters within the world actually interact with the party.
Right,
so here I've got
dialogue.
a guy who is talking to me. So as I talk to him, he's going to possibly give me a quest, and he goes ahead and has sent me up.
Where are we now?
That actual quest sent me up to a dungeon where he wants me to go retrieve an item for him.
Okay. You got to deal with this bear guy. Huh?
Well, I'm going to leave the bear behind.
Okay.
But if I go in here, you can see here's a
little action.
This is a typical dungeon area. Now, one of the things about Baldur's that people really liked is that the Dungeons & Dragons system is actually a turn-based system. When you play it pen and paper, and it's very slow and combats take a long time. We made it all real time. We went and made every round 6 seconds, and at the same time, you can pause it anytime you want to change stuff. So if I want this fighter to change to his sword, I can just click it, and as you can see in the game world, he switched to his sword, and now he's ready to go to attack.
All right, so
with
show
his
some
sword.
action here. How would you actually do a little fight here?
Now, let me run forward in here.
Okay.
Here's another wolf.
Right.
Let me try and get into a bigger fight with more guys.
Okay. So just tell us what you're doing as you do it.
I'm going ahead and I'm going to stroll through here and find some bad guys. Now everything's point and click. We tried to make the interface as simple as possible. And so everything you can do is pretty much one click away. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to fight this wizard right now. Now, like I said, you can go ahead and then just pick, as you pause the game, actions for everybody in the party. So I'm going to have everybody do something different here.
So you give each of the characters a different capability?
Exactly. This person's going to use a wand right here. I'm going to have this person here go ahead and cast a spell. I'm going to summon up some skeletons to fight for me.
And again, real quick, point and click, give it to him.
Point, click, give it to them, then I hit the space bar, and everybody goes and does what they're supposed to do. And so then I have these
You got your 6 second war. Yeah.
Exactly. So
now you can play this online with other people, right?
Absolutely. What you can do is, as I noted, you have 6 players in your party when you're playing Baldur's Gate. What you can do is if you join a multiplayer game, then you make 1 character, or 2 characters, or 3 characters. You join up with somebody else who has a number of characters as well. And then you fill up the party of 6 that you could have in the single-player game. So you have any numbers up to 6 actually play within a game, and then they proceed throughout the story, just like you would if you were playing the single-player game.
All right, Chris, you've already got a sequel to the original Baldur's Gate, don't you?
Yeah, well, it's not really a sequel so much as an expansion story. What we have is Tales of the Sword Coast, which we released earlier this year, and it actually plugs straight into the Baldur's Gate game world just to make it bigger, give you more stuff to do in the game. All
right, now you've developed this great game engine for Baldur's Gate. You're going to take that engine and apply it to other games, other play environments?
Yeah, absolutely. The developer who actually created Baldur's Gate, BioWare Corp., has actually allowed us to license the engine from them, and at Black Isle Studios, which is my division at Interplay, we're actually working on 2 other titles. One is Planescape Torment, which is set in another advanced Dungeons & Dragons world, and then we've just announced a new one, which is Icewind Dale, which is in the same world as Baldur's Gate, but a completely separate game from that.
All right, Chris, thank you, and let's thank the folks from WinTech for providing that Ultimate Edge PC so we can have Baldur's Gate really looking at its best.
Thank you.
All right, well, a few minutes ago we showed you Sega's new Dreamcast game console. At the moment, Sega has the next generation of game technology to itself, but this won't last long, for coming out next year is the much-awaited Sony PlayStation 2. It is incredible. Here's a sneak preview of what you'll be able to buy in September 2000.
The new Sony PlayStation 2 was shown publicly for the first time at the Tokyo Game Show, held in Japan in mid-September. The crowds were huge as Sony showed off what it calls its entry into the new digital millennium. The console itself looks like a DVD set-top box, and in fact, the PlayStation 2 is much more than a game console. It plays video games, but it's also a full DVD playback machine, capable of playing music and movies. The box also comes with a built-in modem for web browsing and online game playing. The real star of the show was the new software, games offering incredible new levels of detail, speed, and smoothness of motion. This is Gran Turismo 2000, a new auto racing game for the PlayStation 2. As you can see, the detail on the cars is incredible. In this new fighting game called Tekken Tag Tournament, the digitized motion of the characters sets new standards in fluidity of motion and body details. This new title, a war game called Kessen, is amazing for its mere grandeur. It feels like a true interactive digital movie. The motion of the horses, the facial details, the character movement set a new standard for game playing. This is Dark Cloud, a new 3D role-playing adventure game for the PlayStation 2. And this is a new fight game called The Bouncer. The motion is incredible, the facial detail is amazing, and check out the splashes as the characters run through the flooded subway station. The PlayStation 2 launches next year with a record 1 million units to be shipped in the first week. The consoles will be available in Japan in March of next year. They're due to go on sale in the United States in September 2000. For the Computer Chronicles, I'm Sarah O'Brien.
If you're into computer games, and if you aren't, why would you still be watching? You probably know about 2 online game sites called GameSpot.com and VideoGames.com. They're terrific sources for the latest and greatest in computer and video gaming. And we've invited a games reviewer who writes for both those sites to join us to look at some of the other hot new games on the market. This is Ryan McDonald.
How you doing?
And you got 3 favorites you brought with us.
Yes, I did.
And let's start with Mayhem, which is a wrestling game, right?
That's correct.
This is on the Nintendo 64.
Yes.
All right, so why do you like this game? What's cool about it?
What's cool about it is because it's got all the wrestlers from the WCW.
The real guys?
Yeah, the real guys. So if you're into Goldberg and Sting and all those guys, it's the only place you're going to find them.
All right.
It's got all the real matches, the arenas, like here's Fall Brawl. And they've also done this really neat thing along with the game that in real life wrestling, when they have a pay-per-view event, they give you a code and you plug it into the game and it like puts the roster of the real event up and everything. So
you got all the theatrics here.
Yeah, it's got the ring entrances, Hollywood Hogan. And once you get into the action...
So let's see the action, yeah. All right, so what kind of controls, what moves can you make?
You can do just about anything you see on the real show.
Wow.
So you can do hip tosses, power slams. You can grab them from the back.
Okay,
and
you're playing a computer player right now.
That's correct.
Okay.
I'm Goldberg, everybody's favorite. But one of the cool things that they did, and they tried to do, and they kind of did, is they kind of made it so that it has the feel of real wrestling. So there's always something crazy going on.
Right.
Like during the match, you'll see somebody just running the ring from nowhere.
Okay. You can actually leave the ring, right? And in this game, the guy follows you, so it's not like just stuck in the ring.
Yeah, that's correct.
So you taunt them like in the real thing.
Yeah. Hopefully, I can get him to follow me. If he does, we can go backstage and fight in the parking lot. There we go.
All right. Right.
So and then it goes to this crazy security cam. So once you're back here, you can do all kinds of moves, and you pick up different weapons and hit them with it. Oh, but he got to me first.
All right, so this is Mayhem. It's on the N64. Now let's go over to PlayStation.
Alrighty.
And a brand new game, right? Resident Evil 3 Nemesis.
Yes, this is coming out this fall.
And actually, you have like the Japanese version, right? Because it's not quite out yet.
Just came out in Japan.
Okay, and what do you like about this one?
What I like about this one, I think you'll see that partially it's the story, but a big part of it is just the interaction you have with the world. You can see everything's extremely detailed.
Okay.
And one of the scary things is it's about zombies.
Zombies.
And you gotta.
So this is action. You can blow guys up, but there's also you can interact with characters. There's a storyline.
There's a big part. That's probably the biggest part about the game.
So it's not just bang, bang, bang.
Yeah, it's just talking with people and trying to figure out what's happening, why all these people are turning to zombies.
So there's kind of a strategy here to understand what's going on.
Yeah, and if you follow the Resident Evil series, you know what the storyline is and the characters.
So it's not just enough to kill these guys.
No, it's not.
Okay.
And so I kind of skipped ahead a little bit so we can see.
That's right. Yeah.
There's like zombies everywhere. Everything's going crazy. So
the storyline is you don't know what's going on. There's all these zombies. They're all out to get you. You got to figure out why.
You got to figure out why, and you got to figure out how you're going to stop them because bullets don't always
Again, we're
work.
seeing these Japanese subtitles because it's the Japanese version of the game because we don't have the American one yet.
Right. And so every time you open a door and move from room to room, it shows you this little cutscene, so you know that you're moving along.
Okay, let's just check this out. Do you have a name?
This is Jill Valentine.
Oh, okay, got it.
Everybody that played the first game will remember her.
Right. All right, Ryan, I know there's one more game you want to show us, and that's the new Rainbow Six for the N64, the Tom Clancy book.
Yes.
Show it to us, and what do you like about it?
What I like about it is it's a little more real than most of the strategy, first-person shooter games.
How so?
Is you have to pick a team, and you interact with your guys, and you're telling them which way to go and how to get in the house and which is the best way to attack.
All right, so show it to us and tell us the story at the same time.
All right, the game is basically you're part of this special elite forces team, and there's one of my guys right there, and we're supposed to go and rescue these hostages. And there's more to it than that. I don't want to ruin the story. For anybody that knows the book, they'll know what the story is.
So there's a lot of strategy, a lot of story, but you got to beat up guys at the same time.
That's right. You got to save all these poor helpless people that are going to get killed by these terrorists.
But you're going to blow up these terrorists.
That's the idea. I'm going to try to get in and shoot them
Can you find one real quick?
Yeah, here's one. No, he's dead.
You already got him. Yeah. All right, Ryan, let me ask you one question. You've shown us 3 games. They're overly violent, beating up people, blood, blowing guys up.
Right.
A lot of people think this is a really bad thing, and it's affecting kids in a bad way. Does this bother you in a way? I mean, does this make you less sensitive to real human violence?
I've heard that question a lot, and I've played games since I was 13 years old.
Right.
I don't think I'm any different than anybody else.
You're not a killer.
No, I'm not.
Yeah.
But as far as these games nowadays, they all have the rating system that the parents can use to kind of as a tool to know which games are safe for their kids and which ones are not. So it's more of a comfort level for the parents than it is anything else.
Gotcha.
So I think it's a good thing to go by.
Ryan, thanks a lot.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, well, if there's a weak link in computer game technology, it is the user interface. After all, how much can you really do with a keyboard or a mouse or a joystick, even a vibrating game chair? But one company has just introduced one of the more revolutionary approaches to interacting with a game. It's the Reality Fusion Game Cam. And here to demonstrate Game Cam for us is the company's CEO, actually. Chad, how you doing?
Great.
What's the idea behind Game Cam?
You actually control the game with your natural body movements and gestures. So rather than relying on a keyboard or mouse, you just get up and use your hands or your head or any body part in order to immerse yourself in
the deal is you have this is a Logitech QuickCam that's actually taking your picture and inserting you visually in the game and giving you control of the game.
That's correct. It is capturing your live video image and projecting that
This is where seeing is believing. We've got to actually do this, not talk about it. So show us how it works.
I can do a far better job of demonstrating it. So this is our main interface, and merely by tapping on any one of these different games, the Game Cam includes 6 different games, you can launch into.
So you actually control the interface interface with your hands too.
Absolutely.
Okay, go ahead.
Because of that, it's a natural for any type of sports title. So instead of playing basketball using a keyboard or mouse, you can shoot with your hands the way that you would on the playground.
I got to see this.
And we're going to start with Shoop.
All right, okay, there's Chad inside the game.
Now this is actually a 2-player version, so if we want, you can play with your friend or your brother. And the idea is you just try and make baskets. Now one of the cool things you'll notice is that this window actually moves towards the ball, so I can set myself up for a dunk.
So let's understand, you are literally hitting the ball in the basket right now, and if you do it well, you score, and if you don't, you miss.
That's right. I can hit it with my head, and I can hit a rebound. If I was a little bit more skilled, I'd make a few baskets.
Okay.
But you are literally immersed in the action. You'll notice that it's just cutting out my image. So it really creates this fantasy world where I could be playing in Madison Square Garden or the Forum, and I just see my image inside of the game.
All right, let's move. I want to show a couple of things here. Show us volleyball also. That's another really neat demonstration with the same idea where you're batting a ball in a different kind of game.
So I'm just going back to our main interface. Again, I'm controlling everything using my hands.
No mouse, no keyboard, no joystick.
No keyboards. Exactly.
All right, so
and
volleyball.
I will go into volleyball.
Launch volleyball.
Now, one of the nice things about volleyball is we include a number of different opponents, but you can actually create your own opponent just by having a friend come over and go through certain motions.
Get two guys' pictures in there.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so in this case, I'll be playing against not just a computer animated opponent, but rather someone that we taped going through certain motions.
So you're playing volleyball. Just tell us what you're doing.
So I'm just now instructing it to serve to me. I'll hit the ball over, and you'll notice that...
That was a pretty lousy hit.
Yes.
All right, try again.
So now on the other side, Max is serving the ball this time, but he's nowhere to be found. He just went through different motions.
So he's on tape, so he doesn't really know what's going on.
He is on tape,
There you go.
exactly.
That is cool.
So again, if I hit the ball harder, the ball will go longer. If I just tap it, it won't go as hard. So all the normal physics that you would expect to apply to a volleyball operate here.
So obviously these algorithms here are looking at the movement of your hand. It knows what your hand is, and then it reacts as if it was saying a command.
That's right. That's exactly correct.
Got it.
Now
You're pretty good.
Well, one of my main responsibilities as CEO is to test all of these games thoroughly. So I have become pretty adept at these.
All right, quickly, one more thing I want you to show me. You got a great karate game where you actually chop the other guy. So let's pull up karate if we can.
I'll just quit out of volleyball.
And again, you just wave at your little options.
I'm just waving. Most of these screens have a couple different options. And I will go into karate. Now, before we get into the karate, we've taken the liberty of actually taking your picture and superimposing it on top of our karate clown. Yes, but this might be appealing to some of your staff or possibly viewers, I don't know. But the idea is that, again, instead of using this keyboard being sedentary, I get up and I actually get to fight, in this case with you, Stewart.
All right.
And I can bop you in the head, and you can try and hit me back.
All right, well, I'm not really running the game. You just have my face in the computer
I just have your face, exactly.
Right.
Now, we have different levels. So right now we're at the first level, so you're not terribly quick or adept at hitting me. But as I move up the different levels, you'll become much faster and start to give me roundhouse kicks and some good left jabs.
Now, could we both be playing this real time if we had two quick hands? Not yet.
That's the next
version 2.0.
Absolutely.
Okay. And we got the nice sound effects.
Right.
So it knows when you've hit me.
Correct.
And I'm just looking like an idiot there while you're All right. Let me just ask you one more thing. Now, when I buy GameCam, what do I get?
You get this Logitech QuickCam camera.
It is
a full-fledged video camera.
So you can use it for other things.
That's right, as well as 6 different titles. We have a combination of sports titles, some of which I've demonstrated for you here, and personal creativity. So, for example, we have something that's akin to a digital dance studio where you can get up and kind of rock out, and your body motions control different effects.
That is very cool. Thanks a lot. All right, that's our look at the latest in computer games. I'll be back in just a moment with my pick of the week. Don't miss it. Now for my pick of the week. So far, we've concentrated on desktop game platforms, but one of the best developments in gaming over the past few years has been the evolution of handheld gaming devices, which all started, of course, with Nintendo's Game Boy. Well, Game Boy is like a dinosaur compared to my favorite new handheld gaming device, this brand new Neo Geo Pocket Color from SNK, a Japanese company. This little gaming box is fantastic. Incredibly clear and smooth graphics, great ergonomics. It fits right in your hand and your fingers naturally rest on the key controls, including a real mini joystick and 2 simple control buttons. What is really cool is the Neo Geo has a port that lets you plug directly into a Sega Dreamcast so you can play your Pocket games through the console on a big screen when you're at home. The Neo Geo Pocket Color runs on only 2 AA batteries, and it runs for a long time. I've been playing with this for about a week now, and I haven't had to change batteries yet. And it has a backup battery so you can save games even if your main batteries die. And the software is great. I've been playing Pocket Tennis, which is the best computer tennis game I've played. I've also been playing Turf Masters, which is a great golf game. There are about 18 titles available right now, covering every game genre. This baby is really fun. You can get it online or at stores. Retail price $69. For more information, check out their website at snkusa.com. That's it for this edition of the Chronicles. I hope you'll join me, by the way, for my new web radio show. Just hit the Talk Radio link at about.com. Thanks for joining us. I hope we'll see you here next time.
The Computer Chronicles is brought to you by BigStar.com, with thousands of videos and DVDs for the whole family. Additional support by TechWeb for up-to-the-minute technology news. And by TVA, Television Associates, bridging the worlds of computers and video with DVD authoring and MPEG encoding services.
To purchase a video